Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Kowalt, and in this video I'm going to go over how to convert ordinary numbers to scientific notation. So let's get into this. So here I have some numbers, and the goal here is to convert these numbers from ordinary or standard notation to scientific notation. So when you write a number in scientific notation, you need the number to be between 1 and 10. So it's got to be less than 10, but it can be 1 or it can be greater than 1. It's got to be within that range. So the key here is you got to move the decimal point so that you get the number. You're going to change the number so that it becomes within that range. So it's got to be between 1 and 10. Less than 10, but equal to or greater than 1. That's the first thing. The second thing is then once you've got that number, you're going to multiply that number by a factor of 10, and the exponent on that 10 is going to depend on how many times you moved the decimal place. Okay? So now here's one thing I want you to think about or keep in mind that I think is helpful. You might be wondering, well, if I move the decimal point to the left, it's negative. The exponent is negative. If I move it to the right, it's positive. Or is it the other way? Which way is it? Is it left negative or right negative? I can't remember, right? And that sometimes becomes an issue, right? So the rule is, or at least what you may have been taught, is that if you move the decimal point to the left, then the exponent is going to be that number positive, that positive exponent. So if I move it to the left 7 times, then that's going to be a positive 7 exponent on the 10. If I move it over to the right 7 times, then that's going to be negative 7 on the exponent for the 10, right? So if you can remember that, great. But I and others have trouble remembering that. So the way I remember it is instead of left and right, it's big and small, okay? So if you have a large number, right, and what I mean by large is a number greater than 10, right? 10 or greater is large, right? Then if you have a large number, then your exponent in the scientific notation on the 10 is going to be positive. Okay, so large numbers, 10 or greater. If you have a large number, then the exponent on the 10 is going to be positive. If you have a small number, which for me, what I mean by small is a number less than 1. So if you have a number less than 1, the exponent on the 10 is going to be negative. If you have a number 10 or greater, then the exponent on the 10 in your scientific notation is going to be positive. And the number of the exponent will depend on how many times you moved the decimal point over. Now you might be asking, well, Mr. Koval, what if your number is between 1 and 10? Right? What if it's less than 10 but greater than 1? In that case, you can write it in scientific notation, but the exponent on your 10 is going to be 0, right? Because 10 raised to the power of 0 is 1. Any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. So basically, it's going to be the number multiplied by 1. So that's what I want you to think about. So don't think about left and right. Think about large and small. Do you have a large number that you're converting into scientific notation, or do you have a small number converting into scientific notation? Okay, so let's go ahead and do a couple of some examples. So here I have 2 million. 2 million is obviously a large number. So my exponent on the 10 is going to be positive. So the first thing I want to do is move the exponent. So here's my exponent. If you don't see an exponent, it's at the end of the number here. So the first thing I'm going to do is move the decimal point over until all the way to the right of the first number or first digit in your number. So the 2 here is the first digit in your number. And what I mean by digit is non-zero number. So here, I'm going to move the decimal point over to the right of the 2. It's going to be on the right side of the 2. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I moved it over 6 times. So now my number is 2. So I made it go from 2 million to 2. So now I'm going to multiply this by 10. Okay. So I multiply by 10. And then what's the exponent? Well, the exponent number is the number of times I moved my decimal. I moved it over 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the number is 6. Is it positive or is it negative? Well, 2 million is a large number, 10 or greater, so it's positive. So this is going to be a positive 6. Or if you use the E form, it would be 2E and then plus 6, because the E represents times 10. But this is normally how we write it. But sometimes if you need to, you can write it with the E. Okay, let's try B. So again, first thing I'm going to do is move the decimal point. I don't see a decimal point, so it's got to be at the end. And I'm going to move the decimal point to the right of the first number. So the 2 here is the first number. So I'm going to move the decimal point to the right of that number. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I moved it over 7 times. So now I turned 20 million into 2. So now I got to multiply this by 10. The reason I multiply it by 10 is because 2 is not the same as 20 million. I need the same number. So I'm going to multiply 2 by 10. The exponent on the 10 is going to be 7 because I moved the decimal point over 7 times. Is it going to be positive or negative? Well, in this case, it's going to be positive again because I have a large number. 20 million is a large number, so my exponent should be positive. So here we have a positive 7. Oops. Sorry about that. So we're going to have a positive 7 here. And so there now it's in scientific notation. I can put this in E format. So remember, for the E format, the times 10 is replaced by the E. So it's 2E. And then you just put the exponent. Again, this is the usual way you do this. Okay, what about this one? So again, this one, I'm going to do the same way. I have the decimal point here, so I'm going to move it to the right of the first number. Well, the first number in this the first digit in this number is the 2. These zeros are not the first, they're just placeholders. So I'm going to move it over to the right of this 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I had to move it 7 times. So now I've changed this number into 2. And now I'm going to multiply by 10. My exponent is going to have the same number of times I moved the decimal point. So I moved the decimal point 7 times. So the number is 7. But is it positive or is it negative? Right? Well, since I started with a small number, 0.000002 is very small. It's less than 1. So therefore, my exponent is going to be negative. So this is a negative 7. So there's the scientific notation for this number. And again, if you want to write it in the E format, it would be 2E and then -7. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you turn your number from ordinary traditional, I don't want to say traditional, standard notation, thank you. So from standard or ordinary form to scientific notation. So standard notation to scientific notation. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this was helpful in any way, then please like the video, share the video, hit that like button somewhere over there. If you have a comment, please put that down below. Subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell. When you do, make sure you click all so you can be notified by all the videos I put out. Finally, put a comment down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Ask me questions. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions you want me to cover, any problems you want me to go over for you, if you have a topic you want me to cover, put that down below. I would love to do that for you. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.